How's it going, everybody? Noah here with Madison Angling, and welcome to another episode of Shop Talk. And yeah, I haven't put a video up in a few weeks here, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, I've been fishing at night for walleyes. I've been running guide trips pretty much every night since opener, fishing after dark, which totally screws up your sleep schedule. And you know what really screws it up is having a kid. So yeah, I'm a dad now, super exciting. So very frustrating, very fun, very cool, very exhausting, but super cool. So that being said, I had a small window of time this morning that I could shoot a video for you guys, and I was trying to come up with something to shoot that was pretty quick, pretty easy, and something I get asked quite a few questions about, and that is this guy right here. Not the lure, and if you watched my last video, you probably recognize the lure. This is the exact same rig I was throwing. But the leader I have on here, I use a very light, tieable titanium wire leader on pretty much all of my lures when I'm fishing in the spring to prevent bite-offs. Obviously, if you spend any time fishing at all, especially if you're bass fishing, you run into fish with teeth, right? Whether you want to or not. So to prevent losing a whole bunch of these and leaving baits and fish, I like to run a very light titanium wire leader. And I got to give a shout out to my buddy Lee Tauken with Today's Angler. He showed me this years and years ago, and it has saved me a tremendous amount of money, and it's landed us a lot of really cool fish that we otherwise probably would have lost. So that's what I want to show you guys today, is how I tie up these leaders. And I want to give you a little comparison here real quick too. So this is a spring steel leader. I think this is a 90 pound spring steel leader. This is I believe 15 pound titanium. So I don't know if you guys can actually see the size difference or not. I don't know if that's focusing, but very thin material. And the reason I like to use this versus steel, even like a 49 strand wire, something really soft and flexible, is this is so light that it doesn't mess with the action of your bait. And another added bonus is you can twist this stuff up, you can bend it, you can do all kinds of stuff. I've got that pretty twisted up, right? If that was steel, you'd have some serious kinks in it and your bait's not gonna run right. Boom, perfectly straight, totally fine. The titanium is the move. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick with basic tools and just a couple of things, how to tie these up, save yourselves a lot of money, and don't worry about the stealth, guys. The fish don't care, all right? I promise you they don't care. I think this is better than getting bit off. So I will trade a little bit of stealth for durability. So that being said, let me show you how to tie these up. Okie dokie. So there's a couple different brands of wire that I like to use. One of them apparently is not available anymore, which really stinks. That is the Terminator brand wire. That is a Rapala brand. The last few years it's been really difficult to get a hold of, which sucks because it works great. But another one that I've had a lot of success with is this stuff, Not Too Kinky, and I will have all of this stuff linked in the description so you guys can pick this stuff up. So basically, you get it in a little, I don't know if you call that a spool, a section, and yeah, this actually goes quite a long way. So how much is in here? 15 feet. That's gonna get you a whole bunch of leaders, because a lot of these we're tying pretty small. We're maybe using about a foot of this total at a time. So basically, this is 12 pound tieable titanium wire. You can get this in obviously different strengths, but I find that the 12 pound is acceptable for most applications. So anytime I'm throwing jerk baits, spinner baits, swim jigs, bladed jigs, square bills, things like that, the 12 seems to work just fine. And typically I'm tying that to anything from a 10 to probably 20 pound main line for the most part. And can you break this? You can. You got to be a little bit careful, but the whole idea here is that you're getting something that is bite proof, not necessarily something that has a lot of tensile strength, but something that's bite proof. And obviously the lighter you go, the less it's going to affect the way that your bait runs, and it's going to be less visible in the water. So we've got our wire here, 12 pound, Not Too Kinky wire. We've got some snaps You don't have to use snaps. You can actually tie direct to your lure with this if you want. As far as the snaps go, a size 1 up to about a size 3 is what I like to use. And then a swivel, which I don't have laying here, but you can use whatever swivel you think is appropriate, or you can actually tie line to line with this stuff with an Albright knot, which I'll show you here in a minute. So to get started, we're just gonna take off a little section of wire. I just lost my package, it just blew away. So I'm gonna take off about a foot section here, and I'm just using a pair of pliers with some cutters on them. Give it a little snip. There we go. All right, so we have about a foot long section here to work with. So the next step is to take a snap, and we are using a size 1 snap on these, VMC size 1 snap. One of these guys. Can you use a snap swivel? Yes. However, I do think that the snap swivels have a tendency to foul on the knot we're going to tie a little more frequently than just a regular snap. Does that really matter? Probably not. Everybody's knots are different. Everyone uses a little bit different components. If it works for you, go for it. But it is nice to have a swivel worked into your rig here. So how do you tie a knot in wire? One thing to keep in mind is this will not cinch all the way down. This isn't mono, this isn't braid, this isn't fluoro. It's wire. It is made out of metal. It is a nickel titanium alloy. So when we tie a knot with this, it isn't gonna cinch all the way down, and that's perfectly okay. Don't worry about it. It's not going to come undone. So what knot do we tie a piece of wire with? The simple answer is a clinch knot, a basic fisherman's knot, right? So we're gonna put our wire through our snap. We're gonna make a handful of turns here. I'm just gonna twist the swivel, and I don't know, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 wraps, I think is appropriate. So at this point, we just have, I think I just undid one. We have our tag end, we have our wraps. We're gonna put it back through the loop at the end here. Now, one thing that'll be a little bit helpful in doing this, you kind of get it started with your fingers. Now, take a pair of pliers, grab the tag end, and pull. There you go, guys. That's it. You're done. It's that simple. It's tied on there. It is not going to come off. I can grab that snap with my pliers, and I can put a lot of pressure on it, and it's not going anywhere. Now, yes, you do have this kind of ugly, weird tag end going on here. You could just clip it and leave it off, you know, kind of sticking off the end of the snap there. I like to clean it up a little bit more than that. So what I'll do is, and this is gonna be really hard to see on camera, I'm gonna do the best I can with my gigantic sausage fingers to show you. But basically my goal is I'm gonna take this tag end and I'm gonna wrap it back through my snap, up through a couple of the little open loops in the knot, and the tip of this wire is going to be facing back this way. And it's just gonna help kind of clean up the way this leader looks. So, gotta figure out which way my snap is. I'll push my tag end through, just like that. That knot, just a regular clinch knot, if you cut it off right there at the end of the knot, you'd be just fine. So there we go. So that's what I was kind of trying to accomplish here, is kind of thread that tag end back through the top of my clinch knot, and now it's a little bit cleaner. So now all I have to do is trim off the tag end, and that's it. We're done. Ta-da. So if you want, you can tie a swivel. I like to use a ball bearing swivel on the opposite end. It obviously makes it easier to tie on to your main line, and it helps reduce any twist you get in your line. But another way you can do this is actually tie it direct to your line. You can do it with either fluoro, mono, or braid using an Albright knot. I'm gonna do my best to show you how to do that, and I will find a video that doesn't suck at explaining it and have that linked down below for you guys as well. So let's learn about Albright knots. All right, so admittedly, I'm probably not the best at explaining how to tie knots. So I'm gonna do the best I can here. So I've got some braid. What do I even have here? 30 pound Suffix 832. I've got white, so it should be a little easier to see. I'm gonna angle you guys down a little bit. My boat's a disaster, so please excuse the mess. So what we're gonna do to tie direct to this wire, which is a viable option, I tend to prefer to not do it this way, and you'll see why in just a minute. But this does work just fine. It's just one thing to keep in mind is that you can fatigue this material depending on how long you're using it, especially if you tie it this way. So to tie an Albright knot, basically we're going to take our main line in our right hand, and I'm right-handed, so you know, do the opposite if you're a lefty. So I've got the main line in my right hand, I have my leader in the left hand. What we're going to do is we're actually going to double up the wire on the end of the leader here. I'm going to take my main line, my braid here, put it through the loop, and it should look something like this. Okay, we've got our wire doubled up, we've got our main line through it here. This is going to our rod. So now what we're going to do, very simple, we're going to take this tag end and we're going to, while keeping it pinched down here, we're going to wrap it. And we're going to do however many wraps you feel is appropriate. On this one, I'm going to do probably 6 or 7, which is maybe a little overkill for 30-pound braid, but for demonstration purposes, I think it'll be a little easier to see. So hopefully this is focusing. I have about 6 or 7 wraps here. Now I'm going to take my tag end of my main line, pass it through the loop of my wire, grab both ends of the braid, and pull. And now we're going to do it while keeping the right amount of tension on the wire so it doesn't just fall apart, because I did it wrong. Dang it. Okay. It took me a couple tries. I am so freaking tired, guys, but I got it. So basically this is what we have going on here. We got our tag end, we got our main line, and then you can see we have the tag end of the braid here. Now, one thing that I was mentioning before was that you can fatigue this wire certainly more than just tying that basic clinch knot on here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut my tag end off of my wire here. Maybe these pliers kind of suck because they're really old. There we go. So basically what we just did is we really pinched that wire together. Now, will it work? Absolutely. It's going to hold together just fine. But one thing to keep in mind is if you are fishing with this for a long time, it's probably a good idea to retie after a while, because you are basically putting a really hard 180-degree bend into wire. And titanium by nature is a fairly brittle metal, as well as in some cases nickel. We add nickel to steel to make stainless steel, and stainless steel tends to be fairly brittle. So you are putting a lot of force on that. Does it work? Yes. But personally, I prefer to just tie in using that same clinch knot, a swivel, and tie direct to your swivel. But this is a viable option if you need to get by, or if you just don't want to use a swivel for whatever reason. So that's it, guys. I will have the wire, that not too kinky wire, listed in the description below. One thing, actually 2 things to add: the lighter the wire, the easier it is to tie knots with. The thicker it is, it tends to be a little more unruly when you go to actually cinch things down. So using this light stuff is a lot easier, especially if you're learning how to do this. And another thing to keep in mind is this stuff is sharp. So on the tag end here, where I have it doubled up and pushed back going forward, be careful when you're cinching stuff down. That little dude right there, if you can see that, is very sharp. You will absolutely jam that into your fingers. It's sharp, it hurts. So be careful when you're doing this. But there you go, a cheap, easy way to bite proof basically anything you're throwing. The only thing I don't use this on is basically like soft plastics. That's it. But any other lures, I pretty much always use this. So a quick, easy way and relatively inexpensive way to bite proof your stuff without screwing up your action and not losing a lot of stealth by going to a real heavy leader. So hopefully this saves you guys some, man, words are hard. Oof. Hopefully wow, man, I need to get some sleep. Hopefully this will help save you guys some money. It'll catch you some fish, and it's just something to keep in your back pocket if you ever are looking for a light alternative leader. You can crimp this if you want to, if you're more of a crimp person, but it adds weight, it takes away from the stealthy part of it. So I prefer to tie the knots. Yeah, I know it doesn't cinch all the way down, but I promise you it's not going to come undone. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop some more suggestions down below for some more shop talk videos, whatever you guys want to learn more about. If I can help you, I'm happy to do so. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.